Well, hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor. We are back with the latest edition of the Rumour Mill, full-time, whatever you want to call it. We are reflecting on Leeds United's win yesterday, the 3-4 win down in Wales as Leeds United take top spot. Doesn't that sound fantastic, everybody? I hope you're all doing fantastically well. Consequently, make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Make sure you're heading on over to the Patreon, of which we will be doing a special episode today with the old man, Generation Leeds over there. We've got our own little WhatsApp group as well, which was popping off yesterday. So join that for exclusive bits as well. We'll put in a little bit of additional America bits on there, everybody, as well, which is quite amusing. So make sure you check all that sort of stuff out. All the proceeds go to helping the channel as well. Our sponsors in the link description below. Top of the line, IPM Group UK. Rick and the gang are all based in the Leeds United area. Our Leeds United season ticket holders, get in contact with Rick for all of your security and surveillance needs. Football prizes, my God, they are showing ridiculous prizes, hospitality bits right now, signed kits. So listen, the new links in the description below. You've got 9 days to get involved in that. So hello, Leeds United fans. How are you doing today? It feels different, doesn't it? Top of the league. I can't remember United actually doing that for a period of time, to be honest. When were we there last season? Maybe a couple of times before it all went Pete Tong. Leeds United are there now and everything is equalised. The games, the goal difference, everything is looking absolutely mesmeric right now as Leeds United. Everything equal, are top of the division. First game back after the international break and the Whites went down to the Whites. Swansea got the win, which puts them top of the table. Solomon scoring 2 goals. I think probably his best performance in a Leeds United shirt, albeit I don't think it was exquisite, but he got 2 goals, right place, right time. The conversation now is, what will Daniel Farke do for the Luton game on Wednesday night, followed obviously by Blackburn, where we have some massively interesting games coming up this week when it comes to the mix of the Championship. Sheffield United facing Sunderland on Friday night, Sunderland facing West Bromwich Albion on Tuesday night as well. Some huge games coming up and some real games where Leeds United can step on the neck and take advantage of our promotion rival. Sunderland, listen, 4 draws in as many games, losing the lead right at the death to Millwall. Sheffield United as well conceded in the 80th minute to Coventry after holding on for a period of time. Burnley getting the win at Bristol City, and Burnley just kind of chuntering on at this moment in time, of which maybe a few of us didn't quite predict, obviously with their XG being as low as it is. You didn't expect them to do what they are doing right now, but Burnley with Jadon Anthony and co, even though Scotty Parker likes to completely quell any player with any sort of technique and quality, are doing all right. They're chuntering along and they're not far behind Leeds United and the chasing pack. But right now, we've got to be positive. We've got to look at this right now and think, well, yeah, don't get me wrong. There are some problems. There are some issues with Leeds United. I think yesterday solidified that when it comes to, in my opinion, the goalkeeper, who I thought was quite flat-footed for all 3 goals. The defence of which was, when you look at XG and then when you look at the amount of goals that we haven't conceded, it's the best in the division right now. So, you can't complain too much. We've just got to hope that that was an outlier yesterday, everybody. And everything would tell you that that was an outlier, because you've got to look at the last 5 to 10 games that Leeds United have played and we don't concede 3 goals. But Swansea, who don't score that many goals, scored 3 goals yesterday, but Swansea don't concede that many goals. They conceded 4 yesterday to Leeds United. So a lot of things to take into consideration here. I'm going to be getting into a few of your comments. We're back with the debrief tonight, everybody, as well, with a really good panel. So make sure you tune in from that one at 7 p.m. But let me just get into a few of your comments, shall we? Daryl said, morning, Connor. We are top of the league. We are indeed, Daryl. Marcus in the building. The most important thing to take away from yesterday was our character to go and get the winner when conceding the equaliser so late on. Now, I think this is a really important point from Marcus, because a lot of what we do naturally as Leeds United fans is put ourselves in this sort of own chamber. We don't really compare to other sides. And I think when other sides are doing, well or they're doing poorly, I think it is always good to not compare yourself as such, but to get an understanding of what other sides have done over previous years, or even in the same calendar campaign as you are having right now. If you do look at Ipswich last season, these last-minute goals, if Leeds can start imprinting this into their DNA going into the second half of the season, not December, then the second half of the season, it's only going to be good. And you remember away from home, Ipswich, and even at home, these last-minute goals got them over the line. The 3-2s, the 2-1s, the 4-2s. Ipswich were doing this consistently. we've got to understand as a fan base that this is the hallmark of promotion if you're able to do that. So I was really happy with what I saw yesterday when Timon put that ball in for Bianchini. I nearly smashed my screen up, as I'm sure a lot of you guys did. But at the end of the day, it meant nothing because Leeds came away with 3 points. The character, the resolve to get on the ball, to be brave, to get on the ball. You know, they ran back to the centre spot. Don't forget that. They wanted that 4th goal, Swansea, not just Leeds. So to get the ball, to be composed in that phase of play, which Tanaka was, Aronson to almost dummy the ball, James to get hold of it, and James to put through a lovely weighted pass, of which I think at points he struggled to do through the game. And then Willie Gnonto to have the foresight to put that ball in the back of the net when, you know, a lot of people would have stopped and said, oh, right, I'm offside. Because I thought it was offside. I think many people thought it was offside. To put that ball in the back of the net and to celebrate with the travelling Leeds United army was massive. Were there problems there? Of course there were. You know, if you don't sort those problems, can that turn into long-term issues? I generally believe that happens. But also, you've got to look at the positives. You've got to look at the fact that Manor Solomon got 2 goals. You've got to look at the fact that Jayden Bogle put in another hallmark performance for me, aside from stopping Josh, aside from the crosses from Josh Tiemann consistently coming in the last 5 to 10 minutes. Aside from that, I thought Bogle was fantastic. I think Sam Byram and you know, from a defensive perspective, maybe when the winger got inside of him, obviously for that goal, maybe that's one of which we can look at from a defensive perspective. But from an attacking perspective, where I criticise him a lot on that left-hand side, he produced yesterday. So fantastic news. Al Tanaka was nothing short of, I've used this word so many times, and Joe was talking about it as well. He started using it, but not mesmeric, but just a metronome in the middle. A player of which you probably won't see at this level, in my opinion, potentially ever again. He is not a Division 2 footballer. He is a Premier League footballer. So from what we're seeing of him right now, it's completely unique. And I absolutely love what we're seeing with Tanaka right now. And I think with what Marcus was saying right there, it's all about the character with this Leeds United side and how Tanaka's composure just on the ball for that 4th goal, just putting it inside with the outside of his boot to Dan James. I think it's just luscious. It was lovely. And yeah, I think right now we're seeing the components of this Leeds United side look okay. You know, when we've still got Ramazani to come back, we've still got Ampadu to come back, hopefully in the next sort of 2 months. But Ramazani being back is going to be huge, everybody. All those sort of, you know, that clinical nature of which we criticise Leeds for on occasion, or mostly, you know, when we're not meeting that XG, Ramazani coming back is going to equalise all of that and beyond, because his accuracy, 3 goals in 6 for his first 6 starts and an assist, 4 goal contributions in 6 games. When he comes back in, it's going to elevate Gnonto. It's going to elevate Aronson with the space and time that he's going to have, because the defenders are going to be focusing on the 2 hallmarks out wide. And then you've got Dan James off the bench. You know, you've just got an array of options. And now we've put ourselves at the top. You keep yourself up there with the games that the opposition have coming up. Keep yourself at the top of the table. Start building on that. Get the players back and do business in January. Amanda said, hi, Amanda. I think I need to go back and watch yesterday's game in full. I thought we're terrible defensively, but the neutrals seem to think it was a smashing game of football. I think you're right, Amanda, but we're not the neutrals, are we? Like I'm sure you're alluding to there. We're not the neutrals, we're Leeds United fans. And the defending was abhorrent from both sides yesterday. Really bad. The goalkeeper, of which I've bigged up at Swansea in terms of Lawrence Figueroa, was really poor. Ilan Melier. I think the thing with Mez is maybe we were just talking about this on Joe's show. I was mentioning the point that he just doesn't save you. Literally, you know, when you're looking at that point in a game of which you're thinking, oh my God, they're gonna save us here. They're gonna get us out of the doo-doo in terms of the goalkeeper, which you see from Patterson, you see from Johansson, you see from Trafford, you see from Cooper, you'll see from Whitworth, who I mentioned for Exeter in League One as a potential Leeds United signing, getting you out of the muck. Melee just doesn't do that. And I think that's why fans get frustrated when like Liam Cullen's P-rollers go in yesterday, because it's the footwork, it's the movement, but overall, it's the fact that it's the goals prevented. He just doesn't save you at all. And you kind of need your goalkeeper to save you in moments where you're not that good throughout the season. You know, the Portsmouth game at the start of the season, when the ball just goes through him for that 3rd goal, I believe it was. At moments, you need your goalkeeper to stand up when the outfield players just aren't doing so. But I think him with the defence yesterday, from a defensive perspective, I think we're quite poor yesterday, but it is what it is. Hopefully it's an outlier. Will says, silly season is well underway. It is indeed, mate. Daryl's saying, a big shout this. I prefer Tanaka to Ampadu in the holding role. I think the interesting part about Tanaka is the fact that I've mentioned this several times. When Ampadu does come back in, a lot of people are just saying, well, you get rid of Rothwell. Where does that balance lie then? Because Tanaka is that holding midfielder. It's evident, he picks the ball up between the centre backs, and that's how he plays. He picks the ball between the centre backs, and he doesn't really move into that attacking third a lot in comparison to someone like Rothwell, who potentially is maybe a little bit of a better ball carrier in those advanced areas. So where does Ampadu fit in that? Do you look at bringing in like a midfield three, which I don't think the gaffer will do? I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it probably will be a straight swap for Ampadu and Rothwell. But the key things to note with Ampadu is the fact that Rothwell and Tanaka together have had a really, really good defensive partnership. And they're like, I've mentioned this before, it's like an invisible string between them both, an invisible rope. They know when each other go and when each other stays, so having that understanding of when to cover and when not to cover, it's very similar to Pascal and Joe Rodon. They've got a very, very good understanding of who goes and who stays. With Ampadu and Tanaka, the interesting conversation here is going to be, well, they both kind of like operating in that defensive role of that double pivot. So that's where it's going to be fascinating to see what happens there. Rothwell, you've got that natural balance. Gruever, don't think you've got that natural balance, but Rothwell gives you it out of all the four midfielders we have. So that's where, I think Farke's going to have a bit of an interesting decision to make there when it comes to it. Mr. Anthrope says, it just shows with our firepower, we can simply blow teams away. Why doesn't the team set up right to finish these games off early? Like Ipswich and Leicester did to teams last season. What I'll say, Anthrope, is when it came to Ipswich, they didn't do it that much last season. And let's not forget, Ipswich came to Elland Road and got absolutely battered 4-0. And we went down to Portman Road and stuck 4 past them as well. So we beat 2 of the top 2 last season over 4 games. And that just shows, that it's no one really cares about that. Don't get me wrong. So, for example, when we're looking at Sheffield United, beating Sheffield United is huge. Absolutely huge, because it gives you that confidence, but you've got to do it over a 46-game season, haven't you? And I think that's what maybe some people forget. It's like, well, we're evidently better than Sheffield United. Well, yeah, but if Sheffield United are consistent over the season, it doesn't matter if you've beaten them in a 1 or 2 off game. And that's where Wilder will be thinking, and other managers of the like as well, as we should be thinking with Burnley as well. But I think what you're saying about Ipswich and Leicester there, mate, will I think with Leeds, that should be harnessed when we've got this fully fit squad. There's a lot of conversation right now about Perau and Joseph. I think, if Joseph starts and you've got Firpo and Ramazani and Bogle and Nonto, I think you get so much more production from Joseph. But the difference is we've not started Joseph in enough games where those 4 have been fit. I think the overlaps, I think the underlaps, I think hitting that byline and putting the ball into where Joseph thrives, I think that's where he will prosper. I think Leeds have got so much attacking intent out wide, it almost overshadows what we've got inside as well. So what Leeds naturally need to do as well is invest in that central attacking midfield space as well. But I think you'll have some superstardom out there if Leeds are able to do that as well. Surely Perau is better from the bench, Connor. I think so, mate. I think so. But I understand why Farke is sort of starting him in a sense. He's our top goal scorer. But do I think he's better starting? I don't. I really don't. But listen, I think you saw that yesterday with Joel Prune. We can't forget that Daniel Farke was taking Perau out last season to put Bamford in, because Bamford gave more with the overall pie. What I will say about Daniel Farke is I think he's got to get the most out of Joseph. I think he's got to get the best out of him. He was doing it in pre-season. Why is that not happening now? What's different stylistically, which is affecting Joseph in the way that it wasn't in pre-season? I think that's a manager's role, to be honest with you. Let's get a couple of comments in as well. Martin's in the building. Hi, Martin. Connor, what about Ampadu Tanaka with Rothwell at the number 10? I think, Martin, to be honest, not in the number 10 as such with Rothwell, but I think in almost the midfield 3 where Rothwell is at the almost the front of it, of which he can drop into the midfield as well when Leeds need that security. I think that's not a bad shout. And I think a 4-3-3 would be really nice with this Leeds United side. I think it would be a really advantageous position. I think we've got the width to be able to aid a 4-3-3. And I think with the width as well, the pitch will be a lot more spread out in a 4-3-3. You get the defenders being dragged out wide to our wingers, and then that would naturally leave a lot of space for Matteo Joseph in that central spot as well, or Joel Perau. Blake says, must be careful not to spend too much in Jan, as if we go up, we need to spend loads. Yeah, I mean, I think that number 10 spot needs to be definitely on for Leeds United, maybe. Rice says, think he brings Nonto back for Luton. To be honest, mate, I think Nonto coming back for Luton is primary. I think we've got to do that. I understand Manor Solomon. I get the Manor Solomon thing, but I would argue maybe that Solomon wasn't great throughout the game. I thought the first 15 minutes he was excellent, but throughout the game he didn't really do that. But Football gave him an 8.9 rating and player of the match, so people are now saying, well, he was unbelievable. He was the best player. He wasn't really, and it's quite tremendous how much goals get you out of your performance, and they do in football, and it's been a big thing now for about 10 years. But what I would say is I think it was one of his best performances, if not his best performance. But I think Nonto on that left, I don't think Nonto will come in on the right, because I think James will be there, because I think Ramazani will still be on the bench, which has us a conversation there. But I think Nonto on the left is probably better than Nonto on the right in cutting inside. I think his defensive work has massively elevated from last season as well. So I think Nonto and James for me. I understand the rest of Nonto. Was he fit? He didn't play for the full game for the Italian under-21s as well. You know, he didn't play for us yesterday, did he? Aside from the last 10 to 15 minutes. So for me, look, I'll definitely be putting Willie Nonto in for that one. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section below as well. What do you mean, Jay? Let me know what you think. I don't know what you mean by that, mate. But yeah, that's answered that, mate. Or you over here. After yesterday, I'm thinking we should dispense with number 9 and have a rotating winger. Our wingers are scoring all the goals this season as a false 9 seems to be the way. Yeah, I think the only thing is there, mate, when you're dependent on Leeds to start scoring goals and we're all crying out for that number 9, I think maybe your rhetoric will change a little bit, to be honest with you. Martin says, Connor, what positions do we need to go? Do we need to go in for in January? I'd probably say a central attacking midfielder is realistic, mate, and a goalkeeper. That's what I would be doing. I don't think I personally don't think Leeds United will be going in for a number 9, and I wouldn't go in for a number 9. I don't know. I'm gonna put myself on the line there. I wouldn't be going for a number 9 because I want to see the progression of Matteo Joseph, and as a sub to him, I think Joel Perau is more than good enough. Helvet East Sounds says Solomon was okay, but as you said, the goal saved him from an average performance. Didn't take on and beat his man often enough. I think he's. Is what we're going to get from Manor Solomon. Is he a starter for Leeds United? I wouldn't say so. But I think it was one of his best performances yesterday, so you've got to give him kudos for that. After a keeper, Sam Johnston I've seen as well. Don't know why Farker doesn't like Schmidt, but I think we definitely need a left back in January. I like Byram, but haven't been impressed by him this season. Fair enough. Michael says Joseph was on international duty. Perot wasn't, so a bit fresher. Joseph to start Wednesday for me. Definitely a new left back. And I think that's how we've got to look at it, really. James says can't cover up the fact that Swansea were really poor. How we can see 3 to a team that let Byram in behind their defence will never cease to amaze me. James, I think it was 2 poor defences, wasn't it? 2 really poor defences yesterday. But I think the interesting point of this is when you're looking at the other sides in the division as well. Leeds going top. Sheffield United right now. Anel Hernandez. I'm just going to say Anel. The centre-back is obviously going to be out for 3 games now. And then you've obviously got Arblaster who's out for the season. They're probably going to have to do something in January right now. But I'm looking at Sheffield United and I'm thinking, their squad is too good not to beat a lot of these sides. The likes of Raksaki, Callum O'Hare, Gustavo Harmer. But I do wonder now they've just faced a few little hurdles, how that's going to affect them. Sunderland have faced these few hurdles and look, we're seeing Sunderland not drift as such, but on that form table when they were winning every single game and now suddenly they're being pulled right back into it. You do wonder. West Bromwich Albion started the season like a house on fire, didn't they? Just their form's been interrupted a little bit. Burnley, sneakily, are just getting these little victories, aren't they? And one to keep an eye on everybody. One to keep an eye on is Middlesbrough. By God, I watched that game against Oxford, or the extended highlights. They could have had 10, 11. I think they've scored about 42 goals in the last 3 games as well. So Borough definitely one to keep an eye on. Remy says, will Raksaki stay in Jan? There's an argument as well, and I agree with you, Manjeet, here. I wonder, there is a clause in his contract. Remember, this is why Leeds didn't go in for him, because there's a clause in his contract that essentially says that he can be called back, apparently, according to several reports. So if Raksaki is called back, Sheffield United, that'll be interesting. Be interesting to see how they deal with that. But yeah, overall, everybody, you do wonder how this is going to shape up now. There are big games coming midweek, huge games coming next week, in the next week. So be fascinated to see what happens. But this is only going to be a bit of a 20-minute one for me, everybody. We're going to be back later on with the debrief. Please, before you leave, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Leeds United at top of the division, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you at 7 tonight. Cheers.